Welcome to Module 2, Activity 1. In Module 2, we will be discussing trauma-informed practices. So trauma-informed practice, you may have also heard it as trauma-informed care, depending on the profession that you are reading about, is an approach in the human service field that assumes an individual is more likely than not to have a history of trauma. So as we are thinking about trauma-informed practices in the context of our classrooms, we are really going to be diving into, quote, best practices or, quote, promising practices that will benefit students who have experienced trauma, but will also benefit students who have not experienced trauma. Trauma-informed care recognizes that there's a presence of trauma symptoms and acknowledges that trauma does play a role in an individual's life. It incorporates knowledge about trauma into all aspects of an environment. So when we are discussing trauma-informed care and trauma-informed practice, we are looking at these three core areas. We must create a safe environment. But it is important to understand that what may seem safe to us may not be safe to a child who has experienced trauma. For example, when a child is in their survival mode, a loud classroom, a classroom where they may not be able to see the door from where they are sitting, a classroom that may be too dark or too bright, all of those could create a, quote, unsafe environment for students who those specific things may be a trauma trigger. So this really dives into the concept of building those strong relationships and connectedness to truly understand the individual needs of the students we're working with. And then also we need to support and teach emotional regulation. This is through modeling, but also through discussions and through engaging in interactions that truly teach what emotional regulation means. Teaching about emotional regulation is not only lesson plans in an early childhood classroom, but teaching about emotional regulation is something that should be embedded from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. And so as we dive into Module 2, we have to understand that sometimes it's a language change and a mindset change on the part of us as educators. So I want you to take time at the end of this video here for Activity 1 and reflect on these two questions. What's wrong with you compared to what's happened to you? Both of these are questions we may ask ourselves. One of them comes at it from a deficit mindset, and one of them comes from an asset-based mindset.